Types of brain: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. In forebrain, it consists of cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Now, cerebrum. Cerebrum forms the major part of the human brain. Now, a deep cleft divides the cerebrum longitudinally into two halves, which are termed as the left and right cerebral hemisphere. So, cerebrum is divided into two halves longitudinally into left and right cerebral hemisphere. Hemisphere is a half of complete sphere. So, cerebral hemisphere, left and right. The hemisphere, these hemisphere, these are left and right hemisphere, are connected by a track of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. Corpus luteum we seen in human reproduction. A remaining part of the Graafian follicle after the ovulation. In here, corpus callosum, the function is the hemispheres are connected by a track of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. So, this nerve fibers, this track of nerve fibers, these are corpus callosum that connects this hemisphere, that is left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Now the hypothalamus, which is one of the part of forebrain. Hypothalamus lies at the base of the thalamus. Hypo means below, so below the thalamus. The hypothalamus contains a number of centers which control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. So the main function of hypothalamus: control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. Now this hypothalamus, which is one of the part of the forebrain, contains several groups of neurosecretory cells which secrete hormones called hypothalamic hormones. So hypothalamus contains groups of neurosecretory cells, okay, which secrete hormones called hypothalamic hormones. So this was it. So this was the hypothalamus, which is one of the part of the forebrain, which has function in which control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. Now let's see the hindbrain. There is a brain stem. Now hindbrain comprises pons, cerebellum and medulla. Okay, the function of medulla, let's see. The medulla of the brain is connected to the spinal cord. The medulla contains centers which control respiration, which is a main rhythm center present in the medulla region that controls the respiration. And then the cardiovascular reflexes is controlled by the medulla. Okay, there are the centers present in the medulla that controls the cardiovascular reflexes, okay, related to heart, and the gastric secretions, the stomach secretions. Okay, so the medulla contains centers which control respiration, that is the respiratory rhythm center present in the cardiovascular reflexes and gastric secretions. So these are the three things controlling the medulla, which is a part of the hindbrain. There is a brain stem Three major regions make up the brainstem. Which of them? These are midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, pons and medulla oblongata part of the hindbrain. So midbrain and hindbrain, except the cerebellum, make up the brain stem. Okay, so this was the brain stem. What we have seen? We have seen the forebrain. We have seen the cerebral hemisphere, corpus callosum. We have seen the hypothalamus. Okay, we have seen the medulla, their functions, their centers, and the brain stem. Okay, now just before we see the term groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones. These are hypothalamic hormones. So hypothalamus, which is present below the thalamus, contains neurosecretory cells. These are nuclei which produce hormones. Okay. Now there is a pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is divided anatomically, that is structurally. Their inner structure is divided into an adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Okay, so this was the adenohypophysis, which contains two portions, that is pars distalis and pars intermedia. Now the second is neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis, that is pars nervosa. Also known as posterior pituitary. So the pituitary gland is divided into two portions, that is anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Okay, so adenohypophysis is the part of anterior pituitary and neurohypophysis is a part of posterior pituitary. Okay, there is a term that is acromegaly. What is that? Acromegaly, it is a disease. There is a hormone, that is a growth releasing hormone. Over secretion of GH, that is growth hormone, stimulates abnormal growth of the body, leading to gigantism, and low secretion of GH results in stunted growth, resulting in pituitary dwarfism. So growth hormone which is secreted from the pars distalis region of pituitary called the anterior pituitary. This produces growth hormone, that is GH, secreted from the adenohypophysis. Now if this growth hormone is over secreted, the quantity is large, then body leads to gigantism, or low secretion results in stunted growth, that is pituitary dwarfism. Okay, so we have seen If there is an over secretion of growth hormone, that leads to gigantism. If it's low secretion, then it's pituitary dwarfism. Growth hormone in adults, especially in middle age, can result in severe disfigurement, especially of the acromegaly. So, acromegaly is a special condition of excess secretion of growth hormone in the adults in the middle age. So, we have seen three disorders related to growth hormone. Over secretion is gigantism, low secretion is pituitary dwarfism, and in the middle age if there is an excess secretion, that is acromegaly. So these three disorders related to the growth of growth hormone, which is secreted from pars distalis of anterior part of pituitary of adenohypophysis of pituitary gland. Okay, so this was it.